Welcome back. Let's find out if we've gotten anything wrong so far. For that, we go to Paul Mercuria.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
Good. I paused there for a second because I forgot that I was actually the host tonight and not the halftime guy.
Yeah, I know. This is a little awkward. It's like the way you are with women. Anyway, couple of things. Bill, I love you. You got to button up the shirt a little bit. Too much chest.
I was trying to work on it, but it's right over my button here.
All right, that's okay.
All right, let me see if it'll get closer.
Congressman,
Yeah,
quick question. Congressman, why so upbeat tonight?
I knew you'd be the ombudsman.
Wow, I'm suicidal just looking at you right now.
You have much to be suicidal about.
Cold-blooded.
Wow, touche, sir. Touche. I want to join the cult.
No.
Let's talk about Gutenberg. This whole thing about the president taking a vacation. It's not like he actually lives in a sparse house and he's got a pretty ostentatious lifestyle as it is. He lives in a mansion. He has a bowling alley, a situation room. He has Steven Spielberg in a closet who recites lines from his movies for him. Is vacationing a big problem here, Congressman?
Well, for the president. Apparently not. He's quite good at it, actually.
I'm sorry?
I said apparently not. He's quite good at it. But in the end, you know, the president works very hard. And again, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, they do need their time away. And this is the people's house. It will go back to whoever takes his place. So,
but don't you think this argument, they did this with Bush in office, and it just sort of falls flat on the American people? I mean, sort of, it's sort of grasping at straws.
I'm loath to say this as it may make you reconsider your suicidal tendencies. However, I think you're right. I think you are going to be judged upon your performance, and if you can get the job done in the office, outside the office, the public just wants the job done.
Yes, well put, sir. You should be a congressman.
You're still not getting in the cult.
Gutenberg said that he has a friend who makes $7 an hour at Dunkin' Donuts who can't get a $9 an hour job at a country club, and he used the word friends. Amy, do you think he was talking about himself?
I think, you know, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, really, Gutenberg? Your BFF works at Dunkin' Donuts. Right. You know, he goes in there 2 days a week and makes small talk and walks out patting himself on the back. Like, I'm a saint that I still talk to the little people. Like, Gutenberg can't hook him up with a $9 an hour job. Really good.
Hey, it actually meant a lot to me, and I gave him half off on his next coffee. He made eye contact. How many times have you done that, Paul? You go in there, you don't even use my name.
But Gutenberg's capable of so much, you know?
I just throw it around. Bill, I mean, if you're going to do an interview, a controversial interview, doesn't it make sense to do it somewhere where the challenging follow-up is going to be like, what are your feelings about reward points?
Yeah. Actually, the problem is that for me isn't a challenging question. You came into Dunkin' one time and asked me that very question. I'm like,
I did. And all
do
I was
you want fries?
And I was staring at your freakishly bald chest the whole time while I was in there.
Yeah, this is bad. I'm showing more boobs than the girls. Well, I want to get into the cult.
You're not getting in the cult.
I don't want to get in the cult. I'm wearing a nice, blousy shirt. That's a very cult thing.
Moving on to the hecklers. Lauren, when Romney says he's a job creator, apparently, is this the kind of crappy job he meant?
Are they getting paid to heckle?
No,
if so, where do I sign?
You hate your job.
Heckling is, I think, volunteer work, isn't it?
Well, but in their defense, Amy, they did scream at David Axelrod, but they didn't hold him down and cut his hair or strap him to the roof of a car, right?
That is true. You're a real glass half full kind of guy.
That's the way I am.
Andy, who is this? Mark Ruffalo looks like
Thank you very much. Congressman, stay awake. Lauren, I've never heard the phrase, what's sauce for the goose? Do you have any idea where this came from?
Well, no, that was my point, actually, Paul, that wasn't the phrase. It's what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and
Well, I know, since you raised it, I thought you might know where it came from.
Isn't that the phrase?
No,
Andy's shaking
it's
his
what's
head.
good for the goose.
No, the phrase is what's sauce for the goose.
That's the phrase?
No,
I've been saying
it's
no,
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Paul, if you could do my job, you would have looked that up and discovered that that is in fact the phrase.
I did look it up and I couldn't find it anywhere.
Well, then you typed it wrong.
And why does Mitt Romney know anything about the
you
sauce?
spell sauce S-A-A-U-C-S-E, right?
I don't know what your problem is, Paul. It's not for me to say, and I'm I understand if you're not comfortable talking about it on air. It's your personal life. Let's just move on.
I'm uncomfortable with everybody running around with all these saws. That can be really dangerous.
Exactly.
Wait a second. I've always said, if you make out with a goose, yay, gander. That's not
That
it.
was what's good for
Exactly.
the gambler.
I say wear a Nuva ring if you're making out with a goose. But anyway, Congressman, isn't it pointless to send hecklers to talk to to heckle David Axelrod? I mean, that's like holding a protest in the bleachers of the Royals game. It's like pointless. The
Hey,
guys-
Paul, when you looked up what sauce for the goose, did you put an H in front of every word for some reason? Is that maybe why you couldn't find it, you idiot?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Paul,
Yes.
in the cult, there is no judgment.
Only Zool.
But there are repercussions.
What time does a spacecraft leave?
There's no spacecraft. We worship Gaia.
Moving on to Bloomberg. Lauren, 2 16 ounces instead of a 32 ounce. Don't you think people who are going to consume that much stuff have no problem going back for seconds? Right? You're going to get one and you get a second one?
Should I be reading between the lines or something, or is that just a straight up question?
You can do whatever you want with it.
Sure, if you really want to hydrate yourself like some kind of Death Valley irrigation project, and you
No, my
need
point is
32 ounces
my
of
point is
fluid,
it's
then yes.
useless because people are just going to get two of the thing that's less, right? I mean, if they have an eating issue.
No.
they're not
I mean, look, if you're going to get your big gulp and you're going to get your taquito or whatever else you're buying in the convenience store, you only have 2 cans. So it really does cut down on how much you consume.
Right.
You have to go back a second time. It's annoying.
And that raises a good point, Lauren. What about people that only have one arm?
Ooh,
Thank
or
you.
a baby
Are-
arm.
Do we even
Thank
think
you.
about those?
This is
are
completely.
near
This
useless.
should be. This
Yes.
violates the Americans with Disabilities Act, I believe.
Well, that's why maybe the idea is just to do an IV soda thing where you walk around with an IV of soda. Bill, what do you
I
think
like
of that? Yeah?
Why even bother with the soda? Just make it high fructose corn syrup and get the job done.
I like that,
quick.
too.
Exactly. I like that idea.
What's the job?
Maybe this is going to lead to like.
Look, it's a tough economy. A job's a job.
Maybe this leads to like black market 32-ounce containers of stuff being sold in back alleys, 10% cola, 90% RC cola. What do you think, Congressman?
Well, I think it just make the cost go up the more you ban that high nut flavor fructose that Bill lives off of.
Right.
And I still want to know what job's getting done from Lauren.
We're creating jobs.
creating
We're
jobs.
finding something for Steve Gutenberg to do.
Creating
See, but there is a
more of
problem.
me to love. We're
How would that be
expanding.
Yes.
Your horizon.
You know, but if you do, in fairness, again, if we're talking seriously about the high fructose stuff, it's going to get you out of gay shape real quick.
Yeah.
I've never been.
No Green Lantern.
Yeah, speaking of Green Lantern, Amy, don't you think this is great because the Green Lantern will now reflect many of its own readers and that many of them have never seen a woman naked?
I think they probably saw too much of their moms naked.
Andy's shaking his head because that really hit home, didn't it, Andy?
God.
That
something.
really hit
I'm
home.
shaking my head at the cheap, hacky nature of your jokes, Paul.
What? I think that's a very thoughtful joke.
comic books, they never have sex. Good one.
what-
Did you just think of
what's
that
the-
one during the
what's the
halftime?
he- what's
Or did
the
you
head-
pre-write that?
What's the heady point of view you were hoping to raise with this thoughtful issue that you put before?
I think
You tell, Paul.
we covered the very important issues. We talked about gay shape.
Right.
We talked about jewelry providing power. I think we covered
I
this.
mentioned it
Congressman,
before.
when we join the cult, do we get to wear,
Thank you.
Congressman, do we get to wear tight green spandex when we join the cult?
You get Nike shoes and a blue jogging.
Yes.
That's a uniform.
That's the with the orangutan.
Tell me when to roll the
The
quarters.
hard part in your case won't be necessary.
Just tell me when to cut my testicles off.
Oh.
All right, I'm done. Andy?
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for killing all the energy. Coming up is My Little Pony for big kids, too. Congressman Thaddeus McCotter discusses his new book, The World of My Little Pony, an unauthorized guide for collectors. But first, is being a 29-year-old virgin really an accomplishment? Yeah, I know we did this story last week, but some topics are that important, people.